Hello, everyone, and welcome to The Sweet Spot.
We are your hosts.
I'm Diane.
And I'm Michael Pinball Clemens.
And we are so excited to be here today.
The Sweet Spot really is joy unspeakable, having balance in all you do.
It's being grateful, even when things aren't great. The desire to help others when you may be hurting yourself.
It is submission to a sovereign God who is in control when things look good or bad.
The Sweet Spot means happy times are happier, challenging times are growth opportunities, and love is the ruler of the day.
The Sweet Spot is resting and sometimes wrestling in the arms of the Almighty.
Simply put, if you're in your sweet spot, you're probably abiding in the fruits of the Spirit.
Love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control.
So we hope you join us as we take this journey and engage in topics that we hope will inspire,
encourage,
challenge,
uplift,
excite,
insight,
refresh,
restore,
revitalize,
comfort,
stimulate,
and strengthen each of you in your daily walk.
Welcome to The Sweet Spot. Hello and welcome to The Sweet Spot. Today's show is all about love. And I've been with my wonderful husband for almost 32 years. We've been together. We've been married for 24 years this summer. And it has been absolutely amazing, I must say. What do you think, honey?
Well, I tell you, I am with the most amazing bride. Now, I have to say that it's been better for me than it has for you, right? Because
he has to say
yes,
that.
Yeah,
so.
I have you, you have me. So you got on the short end of this, literally on the short end. So we're just so excited to be here again today. And after being together so long, you really get to know each other. And, my wife, when we're shopping and we're doing different things, we ask her opinion about something. And when I ask her, right, I can always tell when she likes it, but doesn't love it. Right? And today, I think that's where we're going to start with relationships. Is we're having a little fun today with relationships, talking about it, and injecting a little humor sometimes where pain actually exists. So as we talk about this, while we are taking maybe a little bit lighter stance, there's some material I think that is very important and some that we'll have to grind through. In saying that, I know when you like it but don't love it. The question is, today though, as we start, the very first question is, what happens when you love your significant other, but you don't like them?
That's right. That's right.
So what are your thoughts first? You have any?
Well, for me, I like to relate everything back to football because I get that from you, right? You always relate everything back to football.
Well, that's our life, a lot of our life, maybe, yes.
But I remember when we first moved up to Canada, when I first moved, because you was here probably a few years before I was.
Before, yes.
But when I came, I found it really difficult because I didn't have any family, any friends, anything, and you had football. Like you had your football family. You guys were a family, right? And I found myself sitting at home feeling sorry for myself, right? Because, I really didn't have anyone to talk to, and, you were gone to work all day.
But you're married to a professional football player.
Absolutely. I was living the life. And I found myself just feeling really lonely, right? And our marriage was brand new. And there was a point where I was sitting there and I was starting not to like you a whole lot. If that makes sense.
No, it doesn't make sense.
I was starting not to like you because I felt like, you had something that I didn't have. And I wanted what you, and I didn't know how to connect the football world with our relationship. I didn't know how to bring the two together. For me, it was difficult. And it wasn't until I started going to your autograph signings with you, going to your speaking engagements with you, doing the things that you were doing, and I just had to immerse myself in those things. And then I became to like it a whole lot more because I was not liking it at all at first.
Well, that's one of the very first points is in order to like each other, we have to take in an interest in each other. So what you enjoy, very important for me to get involved and understand.
Absolutely.
Like I know you like to shop, right? And
Don't tell people
yes,
that.
Yes, oh, no, I'm sorry. She used to like to
There
shop.
you go. That sounds better. Okay.
Yesterday. and as a part of this, kind of get as a guy going around, but I learned to love it. I learned to enjoy, you trying on a new outfit and you coming out and showing me, and so engaging in the process rather than just trying to endure it, because people can tell when you're into it. And when you sort of take an interest and you try to make this a fun experience, as I as a husband sort of try to make shopping fun and engage in the process, right? There's something in you that then wants to take an interest in the things that I do, right? And be engaged. And that's, I believe, that reciprocity that takes place in a relationship as you honor each other. It really is about honoring. You love to do something. Let me take an interest. Let me see if there's some way I can actively engage and make that experience better. So because you could go and you could have what is, a potentially great day shopping. If I'm a jerk the whole time, right, and I'm not into anything, I'm ready to go, right, it could make what could be a wonderful day a challenging day for you. On the other hand, if I go past simple, being content with being there and actually try to engage in the process, now it makes you excited about the relationship. It makes you excited about the sacrifice that I make. And now you are more likely to engage in the things that I enjoy, that I love. And in engaging in each other's activity, taking an interest in each other, there is something about that has us enjoy each other's company to a much greater degree.
And that's very true, because I remember the first autograph signing I went to with you, and I'm telling you, the lineup was so long. I don't know if you remember this. I think we were at the Eden Center. We were at a mall. I don't know what mall, but we were at a mall. And they had a table there, and I sat at the table. I didn't say one word. I sat and I watched the whole time, and the people just kept coming, and you were talking to them and signing and taking pictures. And I'm sitting there thinking, why am I here? What am I doing? And until something told me, stand up and go over and get in the photo. And I did that. And then the next person came up, and then I started saying, hi, how you doing today? And when I started engaging with people and having a conversation with them, I started to feel better and better. And by the end of the day, I didn't want to go home because I was having such a good time being a part of what you do. So it really makes a difference when you really get in there and you show interest and you want to be involved in each other's activities and whatever it is that you're doing.
No doubt about it. And so when you take an interest, that's the start, right? That is the start to change to the change of heart. Can we say that? The start to the change of heart is when you take an interest in each other, you engage in each other's activities. But really, in a relationship, if we can relate to football again, I had a turf toe. Right.
Oh, I remember
Probably
that.
my most challenging injury, and it doesn't sound like much. Like I had cracked ribs and surgery on my knee and a separated shoulder, all of those kinds of things. None of them hurt as bad as the turf toe.
Right.
And the reason is that toe, that big toe, right? You have to put pressure. You use it in everything you do when you're up and moving. And if you continue to move that toe, it never heals.
Right.
And it's an excruciating pain. The challenge is if you immobilize it, scar tissue then builds up in it, and the scar tissue actually hurts more than the turf toe.
Right.
And so this is an injury that it took me 1.5 years to get over this injury. And I like to think that that's what relationships are a lot remind me of in this instance, because when we're in a relationship, many times it's not just the taking of the interest, it's the different things that have happened in our relationship. It's the scar tissue that is built up, right? And it is that pain. I don't like you because of all of these different things that have taken place. And when we interact, when we see each other, it reminds us of the financial stuff that we're going through, of other decisions that were made maybe with our kids and different things like that. And that scar tissue, it just tears, and it's actually worse than the original pain.
Right.
And that can be an uncomfortable experience. And I think it's the majority of the time is because in our society today, we spend so much time trying to figure out who got it wrong, trying to point fingers. So, this was your fault, this was your fault. We spend so much time trying to figure out who did it wrong that we never get around to getting it right.
That's right.
As a coach, I used to tell my coaches, help each other be right, not wrong, right? Nobody wants to be wrong. And so past taking an interest, the next thing we really want you to do is to understand that you and your partner are a team and you're on their side and you want to help them be right. Right? So the idea many times is we spend so much time on the problem, we don't get around to the solution, right? If the fact is, if you got it wrong, I got it wrong, we're mates, right? And
That's
the
right,
job
we're a team.
that's right, we're a team. And the job is to help each other be right, not wrong. And so let's be on the side and really help us to grow in that way.
So going from that,
Okay, before we go, I've got one more point here, if you don't mind, and that is early in your relationship, right? If you can think back early, you did all of those little things. Oh, that was so special, and all of the little things, kind of things sometimes that irritate you now. Oh, they were so lovely then, right?
Absolutely.
Yes. So the other sort of hint we want to say here before we move on, if you don't mind, I'm sorry for going back or interrupting, but the other thing is I want to say do early, often.
okay,
All right?
that makes
Do
sense.
early, often. The things you did early in your relationship, if you want to like your significant other again, the things you did early, do them often, right?
That makes
So
sense.
do early, often. Don't let the scar tissue build up. Actually help each other be right. Try to find ways to help each other. Instead of dealing with who got it wrong or what the problem is, let's get towards the solution and help each other be right. And of course, take an interest in each other.
That's really good. I like that. Do early, often. Okay, so let me ask this question. I get asked this question a lot, and it's, what is the difference between love and, I guess I shouldn't say love and like, but let's put it this way. Love is a decision and not a feeling. Does that make sense?
It does.
So can you explain the difference between the two? Like,
So
what is love? What?
So this is a good segue, I think, into the whole idea when people talk about their feelings, right? And saying their feelings have changed. I'm not sure if I love him anymore.
Right.
I'm not sure if I love her anymore, right? When you hear those kind of things, and that is exactly it. Love. We kid about the old story about the bacon and egg breakfast. The chicken
I was just about to ask about that.
The chicken is involved, but the pig was committed, right? And that whole idea here is that there's no turning back for the pig. I mean, he's committed, he's there, he's on the plate.
That's
and
right.
It's not the it's not the most palatable example of love, but it certainly talks about that decision. As I love you and I love you as my wife and I've made that commitment to you, that means that there is no other option. I've made it. It is my decision and there is no turning back. When we put our feelings before our convictions, we end up apologizing a lot.
Okay.
Right? And, we've seen some famous guys who have stuck their foot in their mouth more than once. And that's when we put, and those statements don't always represent who they are. And what that is putting feelings before your convictions. So our convictions have to go first, right? And then our feelings are to follow. If you don't like your spouse, right? it's not your job to like them. We just talk about different ways in order to like it, but it's not your job to like them. It's your job to love them, to be committed to them, to put them first, right? And in doing so, I believe that if you do that and love the way God says to love, right? And in 1 Corinthians, as we all have heard read so many times, and especially at weddings. I want to read from 48. It says, "Love is patient, love is kind, it does not envy, it does not boast, it is not proud, it does not dishonor others, it is not self-seeking. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices with truth. It always protects, always trusts, always hopes, always preserved. Love never fails."
That's right.
There was a little part that I skipped in there that's my favorite part. And it says, "It is not easily angered, and it keeps no records of wrongs."
That's right.
That is my favorite little part, that love keeps no records of wrongs. And if we love our spouse, our significant other in that way, it's really hard not to like them, right? If we don't get angry, if we don't dishonor, if we are patient, if we don't envy, if we keep no records of wrongs, if we protect and trust and hope and persevere, if we live like that, I think it's really hard not to like our spouse as well as loving them. But as you know, we talk about changing, and when it's a commitment, commitments don't change.
That's
right?
right.
You're in or you're out, right? And so when we talk about changing and I've changed now. Well, yeah, that's probably a good thing. We should all change as we grow, right? We should all change. We have different likes and different dislikes, but those are our feelings, right? That doesn't change my commitment to my bride, right?
Even when I do things that you just hate,
you know what?
that you just don't like at all.
Well, that's that thing, unconditional, that we often play lip service to, but don't like to live, right? So when we say unconditional, what that means is there is no condition that exists on the face of the earth that will allow me to turn my trust from you, right? And so if there is no condition, right? If I don't love you, right? What that means is that it's not your problem. It's actually mine.
It's your problem,
right?
That's right.
Because if love is unconditional, there shouldn't be a reason that if you say something if I don't like, right? That's a condition, right? So if love is unconditional, if you say, as soon as you say the thing that I hate the most, right? I should love you and still be as committed to you, right? That's not the feeling part of it, not necessarily the like part of it, but the love, the commitment doesn't waver. That part doesn't change. So we should all grow, right? And we should all mature, and as we move through life, we'll have different likes and dislikes, but that commitment does not change, and that's the difference, right? Is to understand that there is love is a decision that I choose to put you before everything else. And in doing that, as I make that decision and as I grow, right, the way that looks in the natural sense should change. And hopefully over time it should grow. I should learn how to love to you more, learn how to be more committed and really understand, have a better understanding of your likes and dislikes, and really should, I think, over time just be more pleasing to you.
And I think that's a lot of people's mistake is they go into a marriage and that's when they start to try to practice that. It actually should start during the dating process. If you began to do these things while you're dating and you began to figure some of this stuff out while you're dating,
speak the truth. Then
as you go into your marriage, then you pretty much have it figured out. And it just continues on. But when you don't practice that while you're dating, that's when you run into issues.
You know what? You just showed me again that you're smarter than me. Right? because you said if you do that part, you got it figured out. You know, we guys are slow. We don't figure it out all that fast, right? But it does start, right? Early on.
Absolutely.
Even as you're dating, even as you put in that time.
It's a process.
That's right.
It's a process.
And making that commitment to one another. It begins early, and if it is not there early, there's, I think, some significant dialogue that needs to take place within that relationship, because a lot of times we think that marriage is going to change everything.
Marriage is going to fix everything.
Yeah, that's it. That's it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And has it been your experience that marriage has fixed relationships?
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
Absolutely not. No, it's a process.
See it time and time again. So in that, just learning to honor each other on a consistent basis is very important. But even more important than that is understand that when I love you, right? When I say that I am committed to you, because first in marriage we make that commitment to God and then to each other. And in that commitment, that is something that I have committed for the rest of my life, for the rest of my being. So when we have a challenge, that doesn't mean that, okay, I'm not, okay, I got a little challenge here. So that, that commitment I made, or, I've changed, now I
was about to say, but what if I change?
Yeah.
What if all of a sudden after 24 years,
yes,
I change or you change?
Yes.
Then what?
Then
what?
Then what? That's the question. What?
What happens then? Because people will just walk away from a relationship after 20-something years, and their excuse is, but she changed. But he changed. And
right.
We're supposed to change.
Yes,
we're supposed to change, but we need to change for the good.
Right. And you know what? Life doesn't always take us that way. The reality is, even if you change for the bad, I'm still here with you.
100%.
Right? And that's to kind of be shoulder to shoulder. That's really what this is out. It's about a partnership. It's about going through life together, the ups and the downs, whether good or bad. And we hope that it keeps an upward trajectory. But most importantly, is during those difficult times that we are still there for each other, that we still honor each other, and that's not a feeling; it is a commitment. And I think when we if we can, I think Sun Tzu was the warrior who said. The victorious warrior wins first and then goes to battle, right? The defeated warrior goes to battle and then hopes to win. In this situation, right, the person who says their feelings have changed, have gone in, right, hoping to win. They haven't won in the beginning. They haven't decided that regardless of, doesn't matter what happens, doesn't matter if we go through financial stuff, doesn't matter if you gain weight, doesn't matter if I don't like your friends, it doesn't matter if your family relationships are entering mine. I have made this commitment, and this commitment is forever. And as I honor that, I think one of the things, I haven't seen, I personally, in my own experience, I haven't seen people who've made that commitment and been miserable when they've honored that. Some people are staying in the commitment because they've made it, but they're stubborn and they're just mad and
they're
just
miserable. They're not happy.
Stubborn as a mule, and they're staying there because they're supposed to be there,
right?
But that's not what this verse in 1 Corinthians says, right? It says that we keep no record of wrongs, right? Where they have this whole, well, they did this and they did this, so I'm gonna stay, right? But I'm not gonna. But no, love keeps no record of wrongs, and so it does forgive. It does get past those things.
Because a lot of people, when they're together or when they, have their differences and they're in a heated argument, it seems as if everything from the past comes up all over again. It's like you're opening old wounds over and over and over again. Why do people do that?
Well, you know, it's human nature for us to do that, right? And as we learn how to love, right? So we should mature, right? We should mature in love, because I think we can both say that we've done that before, right?
Right.
That we've brought up stuff from the past, right? But as we mature in love and we continue to understand what love is, right? When it says love keeps no record of wrongs, right? What that means is that when we're not connecting on that level, when we're bringing that up, maybe we're not loving the way that we should love. And know this takes some time. It takes maturing. It's hard when you feel someone has wronged.
At some point in the relationship, you have to grow up.
That's right.
Right.
But it's hard. It really is hard for someone to do something you don't think is healthy for the relationship or
Right.
healthy for you or good for you, and for you to kind of take that on and say, okay, it's done, right? So we're not saying it's easy, right? This is hard.
It's hard. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work
yes.
every day, every day, all day.
Any such thing as a perfect relationship?
I wish there was. There is no such thing as a perfect relationship. It's like we were saying earlier, you have to work daily at building a great relationship. And it's day by day, it's minute by minute.
Yeah. I know scripturally, the Bible tells us to be equally yoked, right? To be balanced in our beliefs and trying to give us some, we hear people talk about soulmates and I knew it from the first, and some of those relationships last and some don't. But I'm going to disagree with you this time.
Okay.
I do believe there's a perfect relationship.
Okay, you got me.
Okay.
Yeah, I know where you're going.
Yeah, so, and it is indeed love that makes it perfect. So we mentioned a little bit earlier, I guess a few times now, my favorite part is 1 Corinthians 13 is love keeps no record of wrongs, right? And if it keeps no record, right, that makes it whole. That makes whatever took place in the past whole. So much like God's love for us, right? When he talks about the blood of Christ, when God looks at our life, all he'll see is the blood. All of that is covered, because love is going to cover all of our sins. What makes a relationship perfect is love. So where there is love and where there is committed and complete love, there is perfection, right? As men, we're taught to be tough, and to fight, and to never give up, right? But I want to say that tough is not as important as strength. You see, tough fights through, strength loves through. And fundamentally, I believe that's the difference. And if you have a relationship that will love through crisis, as well as celebrations, and that love, in essence, achieves some level of perfection, even here on earth.
Very well said. As well, 1 Peter, I believe it's 1 Peter 4:8 talks about love will cover a multitude of sins, right? So even when we're going through things and we have our differences, but as you said earlier, with love covers all that. It covers all of our sins. It covers all of our arguments. It covers all that.
And I think love is all that and a bag of chips. And so we do hope that if you're listening and you may be grinding it out in your relationship right now, and just stay with it. That's all we say. And if we can learn to love is that big thing that God did for us, right? And he says, I believe that you deserve a break, and I got this. I'm going to cover all your sins. I loved you, right, before you loved me, as an example for you to love others. In talking to guys sometimes, we used to say that you know, when someone is late, right, and you're waiting and you're on time, right, it's like you're very critical, right? And but on the other hand, when you're late, you know every excuse, every reason why you were late, and all the particulars. You know, I had to drop so and so off to school, and you know, they forgot their lunch in the car. I had to turn around and go back, and all of these things. So you know every reason, and so in general, we judge others with our head, right, and ourselves with our heart. We know every reason. But in reality, it should be the other way around. We should be critical of ourselves. We should judge ourselves with our head, and we should judge others with our heart.
Well, that's the end of this show. We thank you so much for joining us. And as always, we like to end with these words from Edward Everett. I am only one, but I am one. I cannot do everything, but I can do something. What I can do, I ought to do. And what I ought to do, by the grace of God, I will do. Until next time, stay in your sweet spot.
Make it happen.